Everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is Ian with the garage rock band Rail City that always has tons and tons and tons of free music for your listening pleasure and enjoyment and things of that nature. And I've got something here for your listening and pleasure and enjoyment, as well as and mainly for your visual pleasure and enjoyment. This is a Vox Archtop hollow body guitar from either the 60s or the 70s. I'm not really sure which. For those of you new to my videos, I do plan to ramble a little bit about this guitar because there is a fair amount to talk about. But if you just want to hear this guy, just skip ahead to when I'm playing, and you can hear how this guy sounds if that's what you came to this video for. But yeah, let me tell you a little bit about what warranted the acquisition of this guitar. First of all, I'm on a guitar acquisition and actually an anything acquisition freeze because I'm getting married in May, and it's really really fun stuff, but it's also really expensive stuff. But for Christmas, I was appointed the guitar bounty hunter for the drummer in my band. His girlfriend wanted to get him a new guitar. He's played guitar for about 3 years on this cheap little Squire that he's been dying to get rid of. He's actually a pretty good guitarist at this point. He's got the crazy like machine gun right hand action thing going on because it's just like playing snare rolls on a drum, I guess. But his tastes in guitars are very, very different than mine. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know I really like, even though I'm not even close to a hair metal player, I like hair metal guitars. Very sleek and comfy, so the guitar doesn't distract you from the songwriting or the playing process. And I also like the locking tuners, or the locking nut and the Floyd Rose systems and all that, because hair metal guitars, they're tough to detune. This guy is very, very easy to detune. In fact, it's kind of impossible to keep it in tune. We'll go over more of that later. And yeah, this is a really quirky guitar. I haven't actually heard Jack White ever say this, but I've heard it quoted that Jack White, he likes old vintage guitars like this. He says they're very, rickety and have a lot of character, I guess would be the polite way of putting it. But that's just kind of what you're getting into when you want one of these guitars. So I hope the drummer enjoys this. And if you're watching this, it's after Christmas, so he's already received this. I hope he's happy with it. I'm gonna miss seeing it around. This is really a looker, really good looking guitar. I was going through and editing the footage of me playing, and this guitar is definitely like a lady getter if you play it on stage. But looks aren't the only good thing it has going for it. The pickups in it aren't the original pickups. According to the guy that I bought this off of on Craigslist, I bought this for $250, and researching online, I couldn't find an exact equivalent of this guitar anywhere. I think it might be pretty rare. Some of the things that were similar to it on eBay were anywhere from $700 to $1,000, so I think I got a pretty good deal on this. But the previous owner of this guitar in Sterling, Virginia, he modified the pickups. These are not original. According to him, I can't verify this, but they do sound damn good. These are Gibson pickups from the 1980s. Yeah, they sound great. Something to note about them is if you're, this is something important if you're looking at buying a guitar like this. They are not equal in height. The neck pickup is a lot closer to the strings than the bridge pickup, and the controls make that fact more feasible when you're playing. So you've got a tone knob here for this pickup and a tone knob here for this one. But these two guys here are volume knobs. So if they're both all the way down, both pickups don't have any volume whatsoever. But basically, the primary purpose of these two volume knobs is to keep the volume of these guys equal. So, when I'm playing this guitar, when I'm messing around with it, I'll keep the volume knob for this guy, who's really close to the strings, at about 25%, and I'll keep the volume knob for this guy at about 100%. So the volume's all equal. So if you're playing rhythm on this guy and you want to switch to this guy for lead, you don't get a cut in your volume And basically when you're switching between different pickups on the three-way switch, which is your standard three-way switch, you don't get huge jumps, crazy jumps in your volume. Although I guess if you want something like that, this guitar can certainly do that. So that's pretty much all the cool stuff that this guitar has going on for it. The look, just the, I guess, warmness that comes with a guitar being hollow body. This is the only hollow body I've ever played, and I think it's pretty cool the difference it makes in your sound. And then the pickups here are really kick-ass too. But this guitar is old. It's not in the best condition. I guess it just comes with the territory when you buy something for, a little bit more than $200 on Craigslist. But let's go through some, if you're watching this video, you might be thinking about buying something like this. Let's go through some stuff on this guitar that's a little fucked up. The bridge here is, I don't know if you can see this, but the, I guess you call these saddles, but yeah, where the screws where you change the intonation of this guitar, it's like bowed out. I think it might be broken. And if this needs to be replaced, I would actually consider it a good thing, because the process for adjusting the height of this bridge is not easy like it is on a Tune-o-matic. For all intensive purposes, this is a Tune-o-matic style bridge. It's got two screws here that you go up and down to adjust the action on the guitar. But on a modern Tune-o-matic style bridge, you've just got a slot for a flathead screwdriver, and you just turn it and it goes up and down. Basically the simplest type of bridge you can get. Super, super cool and super easy to use and adjust. This guy has, the screw setup is different. I don't even know how to adjust the height on this. So yeah, very not user-friendly, not stable bridge. And going along with that, we can see on this guitar the action is pretty high. It's to the point on some of the higher strings that it's pretty difficult to play, actually. But it is an improvement over what the drummer in the band has right now, action-wise, if you can believe that. And if somebody gets a setup done on this guitar with a pro, I think this can be made very, very usable and a pretty smooth play. Not as silky smooth as hair metal guitars, just because that's what they're made for. But I think somebody can make this a little bit comfier to play. Somebody who knows what they're doing. So the drummer's going to get this for free for Christmas from his girlfriend, and I think he could probably get a $50 setup done on it. And if you buy something like this, I would fully expect you needing to get a setup done on it, even if you know how to do setups, because like I say, a lot of the technology on this guitar is pretty antiquated and pretty far outside the comfort zone of somebody like myself who has done a fair amount of guitar setups. But yeah, high action. The truss rod might need to be adjusted, because even though the action is high, a couple frets on the lower strings higher up are actually dead. So that's some truss rod stuff going on. The truss rod cover on this guitar, even though it looks really cool and really raw, it's not original. And the strings, I don't know if you can see this, they're actually like cutting into it. So I haven't tried it, but I think this would be pretty difficult to remove and put back on if you need to adjust the truss rod. So that's definitely a bitch. Let's see. Yeah, so that's everything that's blatantly in need of maintenance with this guitar. One thing I did want to mention is I can't say too much about the original tuners on this. These are Gibson tuners, which is pretty damn cool. But the neck profile on this guitar is super, super thick. This is thicker than any Gibson or Fender that I've ever played. Both those brands are pretty legendary for how baseball bat-like their necks can get. But this is super big. Yeah, I am of the opinion, some people don't like this, but I think in the 60s and 70s, guitar production wasn't the best. People didn't think outside the box like they did in the 80s and 90s and give people a real variety of looks and feels of guitars to play. Everybody just went with that big old like tree trunk neck, and that was all you could get. And I don't like that style. I don't think this is comfortable to play at all. But some people, this is some people's thing. They'll be into it, but just so you know, if you're thinking about getting a guitar like this neck is fucking huge. I think that's everything I wanted to cover. So let's listen to how this guy sounds. I am gonna be playing through a Mesa Boogie Express 550. It's got ruby tubes in it, and I'm miking it with an E609 dynamic microphone, and the distortion appears courtesy of a Big Muff Pot. Well, it's pretty fun. This guy was a little bit difficult to play and feisty in parts, but like I say, that's pretty much what you're signing up for when you get a guitar like this. Although I think a professional setup is in order to make this guy a little bit less feisty and quirky. If you have any questions about this guitar, just leave them in the comments section, or any insights you have about it. This thing is a mystery. I haven't been able to find an equivalent for it online, as cool and sexy as it looks. Um, but yeah, this is Ian with Rail City, reminding you to not act like things that you do that you don't have to do, you have to do, because there's too many things out there that you absolutely have to do. So don't make yourself have to do any more stuff than you have to do. Yeah.